I did not bring the county map of karst. That's where the groundwater fault, the bedrock faults are. They just run right through here. We're built on areas where a sunken wetland forms in these areas, and you've got them all out behind across Duncan, down here at the end of the cemetery. There's a house down there on Government Avenue that man had been inviting me to look at. Belongs to the trucking company owner, Mr. Y'all know him. But anyway, I know him, but I don't recall names very well. Anyhow, that area actually has crawfish that come up out of the underground aquifers. Come up. I'm not talking about the ones that come up out of those little holes, those little chimneys. These come up in the basement of the house. They are white. They're in a cave, and they're not a surface crawfish. So this is always a sunken area. The hilltops, like where the sail barn is, and the areas over across the where Pinnacle Food is, and these other hilltops, senior center's on one. These areas are actually hard. The bedrock's not broken, and it's probably limestone, whereas out here we've got mostly shale as the first layer you hit. You can see it in the creek bed where it hasn't been silted in from all this development. So it's a delicate sort of area. The old timers before you guys, the previous generation, going back 100 and however many years that people were settling here, it was built out when most of these homes were here. It was effectively built where it was safe from flooding and so forth. And now when we fill in, like we have done at the university, with all the pavement and so forth, there's 10 times as much runoff, the speed of the runoff. It floods, what was called a 100-year flood comes 5-10 times a year. Different people say it different ways, but it's frequent that it's over this stream, over the street down here at 11th Street. I can't tell you, because I didn't live here all those years, but I think there are pictures from different times, every few years or something, that somebody had photos from water being up across where you could see it in their backyards from the street, that sort of thing. But it wasn't so frequent. So, and then we had the extra big rains this year. But this has been developing as they pave upstream. I've been praying for it every day.
The last 3 houses on Hill Street on that side that known as the Habitat homes, I watched 5 times this year, and the third one up there by me was within 2 inches of the water going in the house.
Yeah. That little stream overflows.
Now it does, constantly.
Aubrey, just before we move on too far into this, could we have another meeting where we listed out maybe the things we like about Hill Street apartments and what we don't like, and what start to kind of organize our thoughts in terms of influencing the construction process up here on top of the hill?
It sounds like a good idea. Well, I think what I'd like to say, and I need you guys to actually work on that and do the thinking. But we just have to commit to bringing a few more people in, because when we bring the developers in, we want a crowd of people who are interested.
Bring my neighborhood.
And bring the whole neighborhood, right. And because I live there where they run the stop signs when they come out. I suffered through all this dust from the construction trucks, the dump trucks, one right after the other. They'd be lined up and down Duncan. They'd be barely passing one another. Anybody parked on the street was be at risk of having their car hit. Dust was flying into the houses and yards and so forth. The noise would start at daylight and go to dark. And everybody on Duncan experienced that, and part of the time the people on Hill were experiencing a lot of it too. But at my corner, you couldn't get away from it. And so we've got video, I've got some on YouTube that shows what I call parade of trucks. In an hour you could get 100 dump truck loads or something. They were just constant. So all that could come down done. It could come down up Government. It could go out west or Dunn, and it could cut across any way like 13th and different things. So nobody over there is safe from it, and some of them will manage to come back through over here, you know.
Well, my last question about this before we go on, is the city actually approved the building of those places?
They just approved zoning that will make it almost a right to do it. All the planners can, the planning department people can help guide them to follow the regulations in that zoning. But it will not be policing the streets, making them, well, somebody stole the stop sign over here by our house, and I did what somebody was saying, go up there and talk to the management, and, well, that wasn't their problem. I said, yeah, it's one put in by your contractor, and it's not city street. This is something you need to harp on. Don't say, yes, you could have private streets in there. That's what you've got here. The police have reduced ability to patrol in there. Basically, they go in there when a drunk driver pulls in there, or speeder, they follow them in there. But they don't sit in there and catch people running the stop signs or speeding inside there. They come out there. 3/4 do not stop when they come out down at this end.
Well, if
So,
it hasn't been approved, why are we accepting that it's a done deal?
well, it's not a done deal. That's why
There are
what Lee's saying.
opportunities,